Hello everyone, Rebecca with Here to Their Journey on Tutorial Tuesday. So we are going to learn to make these precious baby mittens so you can protect their face from their little tiny fingernails. These are the newborn size. If you need preemie or slightly bigger than newborn, I will talk to you about how to adjust them. So we have two different edges. We have the simple little slip stitch edge, and then we have this frilly picot edge, and I will teach you how to do both in this tutorial, and I'll also teach you how to make this I-cord that I have tied them off with. You don't have to make an I-cord because this is a knitting project, the I-cord. The mitten is crochet. So if you don't know how to knit or you don't like knitting I-cords, you can either chain a stitch about 11 inches long and tie it up with that, or you can get some ribbon or some leather cord and tie it up with that. But I used an 11-inch I-cord to tie these off. If you were going to downsize to a preemie, I would still use 11 inches to tie it off. If you were going to upsize to a little bit bigger than newborn, I would go 12 to 14 inches, just depending on what you're using. So, how do you change sizes with the mittens? So, let's see. For this size, I used a size, I don't think you'll be able to see it, but it's a size 3 crochet hook. It's a D. So, that's what I used. And the yarn is a size 3 yarn. If you need to make them smaller, you can go down hook size to the next smallest. I think it's like a 2.5. I would recommend to go down to that. If you need to make it larger, then you're going to increase your hook size. This one is a 3.75, or you could do a 3.5. It'll make it slightly larger, and that way you don't have to change the stitches and all of that. You just change your hook size. So yeah, it's as easy as that. For the I-cord, I used these tiny, tiny needles, and they are a size 2 millimeter. It looks bigger because they're together. They are very tiny, like little toothpicks. I used a 2 millimeter double pointed needles, and I used these if I was traveling with them to lock my little cord on there. So use that. And then my little stitch counter was very helpful for keeping track of where I am on both the mitten and the I-cord. Of course, you need some little scissors or snips. I love my little snips. And then you're going to need some stitch markers. I used this yarn for mine because it was just so thin and easy to work with, whereas this is kind of thick and it'll get in your way on the stitch. But you can use that. You can use yarn. You can use a bobby pin, a paper clip, a safety pin, whatever you have to mark your stitch. And then you're going to need a darning needle or a yarn needle, let's see, to weave in our ends and our little tails. So that is everything you're going to need to make these little mittens, and we're going to get into making them right after we read our scripture. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Ecclesiastes 4:10. Okay, let's start crocheting the mitten. So we're going to start with a magic circle. So I'm just going to wrap my the yarn around my finger and just drape it over the side. Pinch it here, prepare my yarn the way I like to hold it. You can prepare it however you want to hold it. We're going to stick our hook in this loop. We're going to grab that yarn, pull it through, grab the yarn, pull it through again, and now we can start. So I'm going to place my yarn over my loop. So this is what I'm using as a stitch marker. You can use an actual stitch marker, you can use a bobby pin, a safety pin, a paper clip, whatever you want to use. I needed it to be very flexible because it's a really tiny yarn and a really tiny needle and a really tiny mitten, so I'm using yarn. All right, so in this circle we are going to put 12 single crochets. So I'll bring it closer. 1, 2, oh yeah, forgot to mention, we are going to yarn under for everyone. So normally we would grab our hook like this, our yarn this way, but this time we're going to put the hook over and the yarn under and pull through. And we're going to do that for every stitch. So we have 3, yarn under, 4, yarn under, 5, and just keep going until you have 12. And I think this is 12. We're going to count though. So the little V's are your stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I need one more. And yarn under, pull through. All right, so now we are going to grab this little tail, not our stitch marker, but this little tail, and we're going to pull it to close this up. And pull it tight, and we'll pull it tight several times throughout this, but it's fine. So now we're going to join our round. So if I tug on this yarn, you can see that's where I need to connect. So I'm going to stick my needle in that hole, grab my yarn, and pull it through and pull it through, and I just slip stitch to close. Now I'm going to move my stitch marker back around my hook, and for round 2 we're going to put 2 single crochet in every stitch around. So right now we have 12 stitches. When we're done with round 2 we'll have 24. So, and continue to yarn under. So 1, 2, in that stitch, 1, 2, in that stitch, 1, 2, in that stitch, and just keep doing that all the way around, and I will come back when I've done that. Okay, so I have 1 stitch left right here, so we're going to put 2 in this one, yarn under, 1, and yarn under, 2. And now we're going to secure our join. So same as last time, tug on that a little bit, we can get our needle in there, pull that yarn through and through, and we have just secured. You're going to have to keep tugging on this closey tail for a little while. Eventually it'll stay kind of closed, but we're going to sew it shut at the end. So now we're going to start round 3. Oh yeah, and you can keep these going, especially now because it's going to be changing. So we finished round 1 and round 2. So round 1 was our cast on kind of round where we put the 12 single crochets. Round 2 was increasing in every crochet, so now we have 24. And round 3 through 14 are all going to be the same, so they can get a little mundane, so that's why I have the counter. So we are going to single crochet, I can get my hook in there, yarn under, whoops, the first stitch is always tight because we just joined. Alright, so we're going to single crochet in every stitch around. So that was 1, and you'll have 24 stitches. I do recommend, if you're new, definitely counting the stitches. Even if you're old, it's not a very long project. I did have to remake one of my mittens because somewhere along the way I wound up with 23 stitches instead of 24, and it drastically reduced the size of my mitten, like just that one stitch, because this yarn is so tiny. So even if you are experienced, I would count, unless you want to, have to tear it apart like I did. And I'm saying this as I didn't count. So we will count at the end of this row to make sure we have 24. Okay. Sorry, I had to step away for a moment. But I am back. And we're coming to the end of the round. I think we have one more. And this is normally where you're going to like forget that stitch, because you are gonna skip this little, see this little tiny, that's your slip stitch to join, so you're not gonna crochet in there. And what I had done was, I guess I skipped 2, and so that was my bad, but we are going to count and make sure that we have 24. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we do still have 24. And I just finished a round. And so we will slip stitch to join, and then we will continue on doing the single crochets around until you finish row 13, and then you will come back and I will show you how to do row 15. Okay, we are back and we have our 14 rows done, so I am going to show you how to do row 15. Okay, so this is the row where we're going to put these so that we can put the whatever you decide to tie them with. I have an I-cord, but you can use ribbon or a leather cord or a chain crocheted cord, whatever you want to do. But that's what we're going to be making. So we are going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch around. So for a double crochet, and this is American double crochet, we're going to wrap the yarn around the hook. We're going to stick it in the stitch like normal. We're still going to yarn under and pull it through. Now we're going to grab the yarn and we're going to pull through 2 of our stitches. So these first 2 that are on the hook. Then we're going to grab our yarn again and we're going to pull through it again. So that's why it's called a double. And we're just going to do that in every stitch around. So just like that. So we yarn around our hook, go through our next stitch, yarn under, pull it through, grab our yarn again, pull through 2 of our stitches, grab our yarn again and pull through 2. And so now we have 3 double crochets. And you're just going to do that all the way around, and when you come back to the beginning, we're going to slip stitch to join, but I will show you how to do that when we come back around. Okay, so just double crochet all the way around and meet me on the other side. Okay, we have double crocheted around and we are ready to join. So we're going to join right on up there. And pull that yarn through and through. And our next row is going to be just single crocheting all the way around. So we just finished row 15. So row 16, we're just going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch around, just like we did for rows 3 through 14. Okay, so do that and then join it and come back and meet me and I will show you row 17. Okay, just finished row 16. See that? So we're going to start row 17, and I have already single crocheted, slip stitch to join, and I counted. I still have 24 stitches. All right, so this round we're going to increase so we can get this like stick out part, the little floof around the mitt. So we're going to increase in the first stitch, single crochet increase. So we're going to go in our stitch like we've been doing, yarn under, pull through, and finish our single crochet, and then we're going to go into the same stitch and we're going to do that again. So pull our yarn through and single crochet. So we have just increased in that stitch. So now we're going to go in the next stitch and we're going to just single crochet. Okay, and we're going to repeat that around. So we're going to increase and then single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, all the way around. And when we're done, we should have 36 stitches, and you're going to want to count and make sure. Okay, so this is a single one. So the next stitch we're going to increase, so we're going to put 2 in here. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm getting all off camera. And the next one we're going to do a single, so we're just going to put 1. So increase in one stitch, single in the next, increase, single, all the way around. And then come back and meet me when you're done, and I'll show you what to do for round 18. Okay, so we've come to the last 2 stitches, and if you've done everything correctly, this one will be an increase and this one will be a single, and that is what it is for me. So I'm going to increase in this stitch and single in this one, and then when you count you should have 36 around. So now we are going to start row 18. So just finish 17, and for row 18 we are again just gonna single crochet in every stitch around, just 1 single crochet. Not having any luck. There we go, I got it. All right, so just single crochet, hopefully better than me, all the way around. It's right there. Okay, split the yarn. All right, now here we go. And I will meet you back at the beginning. Okay, I have finished row 18, and now it is time to do our finishing edge. So for the green one, I chose to do a slip stitch edge just to make it look a little simple. So it's kind of, you can wear it as a girl or a boy. It's just a little more plain. And after that, we will learn how to do the picot edge, but we're gonna do this edge first. Okay, so we can get rid of this now. We don't need it. And we're gonna go, so we've already slip stitched into our first stitch when we joined, so we're gonna skip that one and we're gonna go into the next one. We're gonna continue to yarn under, pull through, and we're gonna continue to just pull through. So it's a slip stitch. You don't want these too tight or else it'll bunch the mitten up. So keep them, you know, at a decent length, kind of make them look the same. Oops, and then pull through, and you're going to do that all the way around in all 36 stitches, and then I will show you how to join the very last round, and we're going to hide it to where it looks like it's just another stitch going in the circle. Okay, so do this all the way around and meet me back when you're finished. Okay, I've come to the end, and you could have left this ribbon in there and it would have been right here letting you know that that's the first stitch, but you can kind of see because they're on the side here. So if you look at the top, this was our first stitch, that right there is the slip stitch, and this is our last stitch right there. But if you don't trust yourself to watch it, then just leave the stitch marker in there, and we're just going to finish off these last 3, and then I'll show you how to hide the last stitch and the last one. Okay, so we're going to give ourselves a little bit of a tail, and we're going to cut it. Now we can pull this out. We're done with that. All right, so tighten that tail up. We're going to get our yarn needle, and we're going to thread it Okay. And so now we're gonna look right here at the front. We're gonna go from this part right here. Oops, sorry. Okay, so right here, we're gonna stick our needle in like that. Okay. We're gonna pull that yarn through, and now we're gonna go back in this one that our yarn came out of. Here we go, and it made like a little V, and you can't even see it. Oh, it's right there, and it looks like it just kept on going around. All right, so now while we're here, we're gonna turn our mitt inside out so we can hide our two tails. This one's already threaded, so we're gonna start with this one. We're just gonna take our needle, and we're gonna follow a couple of stitches and go down the mitt, and then pull it through, and we're going to pull it back through, a couple more stitches, and we're going to do it one more time so that our tail won't go anywhere. Okay. And now we can pull it a little snug and snip it off. Snip. And stretch it. Okay. So now you can't see it on that side, and this is the inside, so it doesn't matter. Now we're going to hide this tail. So thread our tail, and I like to pull it taut, and then I like to go on the opposite side of this hole and attach it up here and pull it through, snug it, and we're going to turn it, and we're going to go to this side of the hole, pull it through, snug it, and then we're going to turn it completely over and go to the opposite side of where our yarn is, right here, and grab a stitch. There we go, and pull it through. Hold on. All right, so now we're going to hide this tail down in our mitt. And we're just going to run it back through one time because it's not by the edge, so we don't need to pull it away from the edge again. So get it through. There we go. And we're going to snip it. There we go. We just need to make the other thing and lace it through. But first, we'll learn how to do this border, and then we'll learn how to do the cord. Okay, we're gonna learn how to put this little pretty picot edge on your little baby mitt. So, this is the very last row, the finishing row, but this time instead of slip stitching, we're gonna do the picot edge. We're done with that. So what we're gonna do is from here, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, oh wait, no, 4, sorry, chain 4. And then we're gonna go, see these little bumps on the back? We're gonna go down to this very bottom bump, should be bump number 4. And we're going to slip stitch into that bump. Oops, sorry. Okay, then we're going to skip the next stitch. So this is the one we worked in. We're going to skip this one and we're going to single crochet into the 3rd stitch. Still yarning under. And then we do that again. We're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to turn it so we can see our little bumps, and we're going to go in the 4th bump from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This little bump down here. And we're going to just pull the yarn through both of those for slip stitch. And then we're going to skip this next stitch and go into the 3rd one again and single crochet. Okay, we'll work one more together and then I'll meet you at the end. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go into the 4th bump from the hook. We're going to pull it through both, and then we're going to skip this stitch and go into this one and single crochet. Okay, and I will meet you back and show you how to join when I get to the beginning. Okay. Okay, we're down to the very last picot. So you can see we just finished this one. So we have a skip stitch, and that's where we'll secure the last one. So we are going to chain 3. Oops, no, chain 4. Why do I keep saying 3? We're chaining 4. 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to count our bumps. The first one is right behind this yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going in the 4th bump for a slip stitch. So we're just going to pull that yarn through both. And then we're skipping that stitch and we're going to single crochet right here. But actually, instead of single crocheting, because it is our last stitch, we are just going to slip stitch it as well. And then we're going to pull it up and we're going to cut it off. Oops. Okay. And now we'll need to hide this little tail in, and then we'll just have to make a I-cord to put around this one as well. Okay, to hide our tail, we have our little needle. You just rub that tail right over it, pinch it tight, and then we're going to shove the yarn up through the needle and grab it and pull it through. There we go. Now we're going to bring that yarn to the inside of the mitt. Did y'all see that? I stuck it through this hole and brought it to the back. So now that it's back here, we're going to weave it in like we did the other mitt. We're just going to go down and into the mitten. We don't want to pull it too tight. Oops, sorry. But we don't want it too loose either. I'm just going to go down a few, and then we'll go back up. And because we're right there on the edge, we're going to go down one more time. Back the other way. Well, that's good. And then we're going to snip our tail. There we go. And all you have to do is put your I-cord in it and it'll look just like this one. Speaking of an I-cord, let's learn how to make that next. Okay, to make our I-cord, we're going to make our slip knot again. And we want a little bit of a tail. So slip knot, however you need to make one. And snug it up. Now we're going to split our yarn, grab it, and we're going to go under this one and around and back through. Now, I made an I-cord tutorial and snug it up. And I will link it in the description below. We are doing a 3-strand for these. So we're done there. And then we just slide it all the way to this end. And we're going to pick this up because I made it with bigger yarn. So if you don't know how to make an I-cord and this is too tiny for you to follow along, then you can go check out that video. It's going to be in the description box and you can see what I'm doing a little better because this is really tiny yarn. So we're just going to knit across, and it is very fiddly at first because it's tight and there's no work to grab onto. But and my big old fingers with these tiny needles. Again, these needles are a size 2 millimeter and the yarn is a size 3, so they're both very tiny. Get that in there. I dropped it. Okay. And then I just tug this little tail and then we slide them across and we do it again. And we're going to do this for 100 rows. And because, or about 11 inches, your 100 rows might be different than mine. So I like to keep track of it. So I have this little twisty thing and I will just turn it every time I finish a row so I know when I get to 100. And we just knit right back across. So I'll do a couple rows with you, even though it's really tiny, you could probably not see. And then we'll cut away to the finished product. Okay. So move back over. Make sure we keep track of it. We can count it, but it just takes longer if we keep counting. If you don't have one of these, you can make tally marks on a little piece of paper. I did that for years before I finally got one, and they are not that expensive. So I love my little doohickey. He came in a little knitting set that I purchased off of Amazon. 2, 3. Oops. Sometimes I'll hold this working yarn as I'm pulling it back through just because it makes it easier. Slide it across. And I'll do one more with y'all and then we're going to cut away until I get a little bit of something to grab onto. Alright, 1. 2 and 3. Just snug it up and put it across and count it. Alright, so I will be back when it's a little bit longer, just so you can see it's a little bit easier when it gets longer. Okay, we're back. We have 50 rows done on our I-cord, so we are halfway there. So I'm just going to show you how much quicker it is once you have a little bit of something to hold on to. So just pull it to the end of the needle and we knit across. You always want to pull that first and last stitch taut. Okay, there we go. so they're not big and loose and loopy. Oops. And pull taut again. I'll work another couple with you because I don't know how well you can see that one. I think it was all off frame. All right. And it's blurry. Yeah. So if you really want to see what I'm doing, I highly suggest checking out the I-cord tutorial. That was the whole point of making that, was so it was with bigger yarn and needles, so you could see what I was doing better. Because this is just so tiny. But as you can tell, it is definitely easier once you have a tail to hold on to. All knitting and crocheting becomes easier the longer the project gets. Okay, we are on row 99, so we just need to do one more row and then bind off. Slide our work all the way to the end. We're going to knit across. Last one. All right, now we're done with that. To bind off, we're going to knit the first one. We're going to knit the second one. Oops. Okay, so there's 2 on my right hook now, or needle. We're going to take the first one that we knit and we're going to pull it over the second one. Again, if you can't see this very well because it's tiny and blurry and my big fingers are in the way, there we go. Please go watch the tutorial. So then we just drop that off. All right. I know it's so blurry, I'm sorry. All right, knit the next one, or the last stitch. Okay, we have 2 on our hook again, and we're going to take the first one and we're going to pull it over the second one. And don't drop it because it's really tiny and easy to drop. All right, we got him. So, and exactly like that, you're just gonna pull up. And now we can clip that off. And we'll hide our tails. So we're going to grab our needle, thread it, and then we're just going to stick our needle inside our tail. And there is a tube in here, and we're just going to follow the tube. It's a tight tube, and my tutorial was a bigger tube, so it was easier to get that needle in there without poking it out the side. This one is a snuggly little tube, and it wants my needle to escape. So try not to let it. Just go down a little ways, and then you can poke it through and pull it out. There you go. And when it's tight like that, you're just gonna snip it off and stretch it out, and the tail hides right up in there. And you're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Just stick it down in the top. And ride it through the tube. Or guide it through the tube, however you want to say it. we go. This side's working a lot better. All right, put it out. Put it through. And we're going to snip that extra tail off. And we're going to tug it and hide it. Now all that's left to do is put it, throw it through your mitten, and we'll learn how to do that next. Okay, now that we have an I-cord and we have our mitt, we need to lace it up. So we want to kind of find the middle, and we're going to just stick it in. So I like right there. So we're going to go in right here, and we're going to pull it all the way through and give ourselves a decent little tail. Now when we're on the inside, we're going to go under one. So we're going to come out the very next stitch, and we are sticking these in between the double crochet row. Okay, so we come out after just doing one and pull it through. Now we're going to go over two, 1, 2, and we're going to go in this hole right here. That's why we did our double crochet row, to leave us a nice little gap for our string. Okay, we're going to go under one and come out right here. And we're going to go over two and in and under one. And we're going to keep repeating that around, if I can get it through here. Some of them are a little stubborn. And I will meet you when we get to the seam, because it's going to be a little tricky there. So be right back. Okay, I found the seam. So as you can see, it looks like we have 3 stitches right here, but this little skinny guy is our seam. That's where we've been joining every time. So we're going to skip these 2, and he's just in the middle, and he's going to get skipped too, because he's not a real stitch. So we're going to go over all 3 of those, because it's really only 2 stitches, and we're going to go in there. Now yours may line up where and you come to it, and instead of him being between those 2 stitches, he is like you need to go between him and a stitch because he's next to this one, and you would just do that. But you just don't want to count him as a stitch that you're skipping, so because he's not really a stitch. All right, and then we're going to come up. Oops, sorry. Next one. And I just like push with my finger that's in the back and dig it out with my fingernails. It is easier if you do, we're going to go over 2. If you use ribbon instead of an I-cord, or if you chain a cord, crochet chain. We're going to go, whoops, sorry. I am just all over the place. You look at the phone, but it's easier to look with my eyes at the actual project. Anyway, so like I was saying, it's easier if you if you're using like a ribbon or a chain cord, or even a leather cord that's smaller than this I-cord, you can use your crochet hook to weave it in and out. So, all right, last one. There we go. And if you did it correctly, you have 2 loops. If you have made it this far and you only have 1, that is fine. Just as long as this mitten is the same size as this mitten, you're good. All right, so we're just gonna tug this string so it'll match that string's length, and then we're gonna grab it and pull tight. There we go. So they're kind of the same, but it's all right if one's smaller. So this part is easier to lay down. So we're gonna cross it. We're gonna take the longer one and put it through. And then we're going to take the shorter one and make a little bow and wrap the longer one around it, just like you were tying a shoelace, and pull that through. Very, very tiny, short shoelace. with thick laces. And there you go. And hopefully you make prettier bows than me. But isn't it beautiful? So now you have a pair of baby mittens. So thank you for being with me while we made these beautiful little mittens. I hope that you enjoyed watching me make them, and if you are a crocheter or a knitter, I would love for you to show me if you make them yourself. My Instagram is in the link below, and you can tag me in a picture that you post or whatever, so that I can see how yours turned out. Also, I am going to be uploading the pattern to my Etsy page, which is also in the description below. It's not up there yet, but if you're watching in the future, you can check it because it might be. And I possibly will sell the mittens if they're not in my Etsy shop and you really want a pair. Again, you can message me in Instagram, it's down there, and ask me about making them. If you have a different crochet project that you've seen and you want to watch me make it or have me make it for you, you can also contact me on Instagram. Bye. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, like it. If you loved it, sub it. If you have something to say, don't be shy. Leave it below. Bye. See you soon.